Hello, everyone. I'm here to talk about just people we can restructure or cut, really, to save cap space because we're kind of struggling in that category as far as the Vikings are concerned. They have a grand total of $6,650,401 in cap right now. By the way, all the numbers are from overthecap.com, and they're a nice little salary cap calculator or capulator, if you will. Anyway, so the first one I have down here is Everson Griffin, and that's because he has 11.9 million against the cap, and we kind of saw some issues rise up last season or this past season, and I don't think you can keep another $11.9 million for next season, and I imagine they would restructure him as opposed to cutting him, even though he surprisingly has not that much dead cap on his contract and only $1.2 million. But he's kind of like one of the vocal leaders of the team. And I think having him around would be beneficial for everyone as far as the team is concerned. So I think a restructure is probably the best way to go for this. And for overthecap.com, after all their little calculations and whatnot, it knocked down 11.9 million down to $4,475,500 for the cap. That's against the cap. So a hefty sum of saving. And then there's Riley Reiff, who I also have down for a restructure. He has $6.6 million in dead cap, so there's no way that they will cut Riley Reiff. And I know some people don't like Riley Reiff, but I think it's rather difficult to upgrade over Riley Reiff at this point in time because I think he's pretty much an average left tackle for the most part. And the odds of us drafting a tackle at his same level or better than him in year one of a rookie deal, slim to none. I know some people will think Brian O'Neill can just flip over, but it's really difficult to flip over from right to left tackle. And even in college, they tried flipping him from right tackle to left tackle, and he played a lot better at right tackle, and he's a much more natural fit at right tackle than he is left tackle in the first place. And it'd be hard to find an upgrade over Riley Reiff or even a player of Riley Reiff's caliber because this ensuing free agent class isn't as good at tackle as it was when we got Reiff. But yeah, he's down for $11.7 million, which we can all agree that's too much for Riley Reiff, I think. And once again, the over the cap magic knocked him down to $6,053,333. A lot better than 11.7. And I would be okay with those two numbers being what they are. And this is the one where it gets a little dicey because I tried to do something as realistic as I could think could happen here because it's Kyle Rudolph. And I don't think they're going to cut Kyle Rudolph even though there's no dead money. He accounts for $7.625 million against the cap. He's on last year of his deal. They could cut him and save all $7.6 million of that cap. Now, I don't think they will do that. But what I do think they will try to do is try to extend him for at least one more year. So it goes 2019 and 2020. It goes through the 2020 season. And I think that's probably what's most likely. And the way I have this down is he doesn't have any guaranteed money left on his deal for this next season. So what you could possibly do is kind of cut things in half and guarantee it. And this would drop it down from $7.625 million to $4.742,500. So just a shade under $5 million for against the cap there. And that's better than 7, and you save quite a bit of money. You save pretty close to 3. And yeah, it's not bad. It's not bad at all. So I think that's probably one of the more realistic options I could think of. I know that's kind of like just what I think could happen, and that's where that gets a little dicey there. But I tried. And the next two I have Mike Remmers and Andrew Sendejo. Now, in life here, you have to make some of these tougher choices because you have to either re-sign other guys or you want to go pursue this one guy because you have this weakness. And I cut them both. Remmers was an easier choice than Sendejo, but I think it's kind of worth cutting Sendejo because he has no dead cap on him, meaning we can cut him and we save all the money left in his thing. All right. And that amount of money happens to be $5.5 million. So you save 5.5 by cutting him, and Remmers, he counts for 6.35 million against the cap. We all know he's not worth 6.35. So I think he has 1.8 million in dead cap though. So by cutting him, we still save, 4.55 million dollars in cap, and I think it's not a bad compensation prize there for cutting Mike Remmers. And so the new cap number that comes from doing all of this actually goes from just the 6.65 million, goes all the way up to $32,092,068 in the cap. Now, once again, I'm not sure if all of these numbers are exact to the dollar, but I do think they're close if this were to happen in this way. So, and all of the numbers, again, came from over the cap. I am just trying to stress, I'm not pulling these out of just nowhere here. And I know a lot of you guys still hate the idea of being stuck with Riley Reiff for possibly longer than intended, but I still think it's going to be really difficult to upgrade over Riley Reiff this offseason. And I think what this offseason is going to be very key on doing is I still think they're going to view this as their window of opportunity, and that DiFilippo might have, screwed up quite a few things on the offensive side. So I still think they're going to view it as we can still contend for a championship. So you do whatever you must do to win now. And keeping Riley Reiff is probably the best interest of the Minnesota Vikings. And I still think he's an average left tackle. And as far as PFF is concerned, I know some people don't like PFF. He had a 73.6 overall grade from them, which was good enough to be the 23rd overall tackle in the league. And how they work is it's literally just the overall tackle. They don't separate this from left and right. It's just if you're a tackle, you go into tackles. And he was 23rd. And he graded as above average for just in general. So getting rid of Riley Reiff is a bad thing, I think. I know some people don't like Reiff, but it's just what it is. And I think if we were to do all this and get near 30 mil, if that's possible, that would be great, because now all of a sudden we can pursue, the re-signing of either a Barr or a Richardson. We can actually re-sign our own guys, which would be cool, because Anthony Harris, he's an unrestricted free agent. And one thing I wouldn't be too surprised is we cut Sendejo to give that contract to Anthony Harris. And I don't think too many people will complain about it. So there's that. And we can also attempt to try to rebuild this interior of the offensive line a little bit more. I know mainly the two guard spots where Remmers and Compton really stunk up the joint. I know Elflein wasn't the best this past season, but he also had an offseason riddled with injuries, and we didn't really see Elflein come back into somewhat Elflein form until around between the weeks of week 10 and 13. So hopefully a non-injury riddled offseason for Elflein makes him better. But I think the two main issues are the guards, and we might be able to actually focus on getting some line depth or a starter even potentially in the free agency period. But That's to be remain seen. And I would like to know what you guys think down in the comments below. If you agree with those moves. And till next time, I bid y'all adieu.